Hi friends, today Paulides, Canadian Missing Project, copyrighted edition for our video channel, and we got Huck in the room. She's been playing with me for the last half hour, running around like a wild girl. Yeah. Was that fun, huh? Was that fun? Yeah, you're a good girl. You're a good puppy. Oh, you're a puppy. Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, this is a missing person segment. And before we go too far down the rabbit hole, I wanted to talk to you about some things. We get a lot of fascinating emails from a multitude of people on a multitude of topics. Right over the hill from where I live, about 2 hours away, is Malmstrom Air Force Base, right outside of Great Falls, Montana. Well, somebody made a comment on one of my videos, and he said that he was one of the military policemen there at Malmstrom, and he had seen a lot of unusual things. And I asked him, hey, could you send us an email about what you saw? And he did. Now, under the Disclosure Project, there were several people that came forward over the years about what was seen above the nuclear missile silos out there. So let me read what he had to say here. First, let me say it's an honor to talk to you. I have unlimited respect for you and what you do. I would count myself blessed and quite fortunate indeed to inhabit the same village as yourself. You've done a great thing bringing light to fantastically important disclosure. I really don't have much to add to my original comments, which were on the video. I did witness on a couple of missile sites at night far off in the mesas, approximately 2 to 5 miles away, where I would see lights lift off the top of the mesa and reach slightly different altitudes above it, only 100 to 500 feet. Sometimes travel in opposite directions, but very slowly. Each time this happened, I would radio the launch control facility for that site and request if they were seeing any aircraft in the area. They always answered they did not. One time this scenario played out, and with one of the lights that was slowly traveling to my right, it seemed to catch a quick streak of light in my peripheral vision like a flash. As I had looked away for a moment, and soon after I heard some crunching sounds on the large gravel they had on top of the site. It sounded just like something was walking. I was pulling camper duty, sitting in the camper's cab and guarding the site as the alarm system needed repair, and my partner was sleeping in the back as he was off duty. It was probably around 2 or 3 a.m. I could hear footsteps walking around the camper, and this is one of the few times I ever racked around into my M16. I was that concerned. I got out of the camper and did a total site sweep, but never saw anything. Nothing else after that, but I never got sleepy that night either. I did see other strange lights flying about, but I can't guarantee they weren't ours. Of course, there were cattle mutilations on and around 75 through 78, as well as the alleged UFO Malmstrom incident in 67 that supposedly shut down 10 nuclear warheads located in the weapons storage area on the base. Of course, we were never told about these incidents because of the whole need-to-know paradigm. In the military, you only know what you need to know. I apologize for blah, blah, blah. So, why do I tell you this? I tell you this because there's people in my world that are very close to me. Very close to me, good friends, that don't believe things I tell them. And it's almost as though they call me a liar. And it hurts a lot. I don't believe you, Dave. Sorry, don't believe you. was you don't believe it occurred or you don't believe me. And they're adamant. It hurts. It hurts. These are good friends. So I really don't know how to go about talking to them about these things because they're so sure in their own world that this didn't happen. I believe it's okay for you to have an opinion, but to call somebody else a liar, because that's essentially what they're doing, that isn't right. Unless you have facts to support it, I don't think we should be doing that kind of stuff to each other. When I go to a conference and I hear things that I don't believe, I keep it to myself. I don't go around and badmouth people, ever. Unless they come directly at me, I'm just going to let it run off like water off a duck's back. Not my style to go after somebody. But I've heard a lot of things from a lot of people over the years. Maybe 5 or 10 years later, I found out that it was all true. Like the missile silos going down at Malmstrom when UFOs were overhead. Yes, there were teams in those missile silos, launch activation teams. And everything in 10 silos went blank all at once while a UFO was overhead. It was all testified to in Washington, D.C. by launch control facility members. Now you can say, I don't believe it. That's fine. But to call me or somebody else a liar, that's not all right. And to call those men and women that came forward and told that truth, I think that's obscene. So enough about that. Thanks for that note about Malmstrom. I appreciate that. And for the people that don't know me, I'll never give up a source. If you say, hey, Dave, you can talk about this, just don't give it up, I would never give it up. I don't care if federal agents came to the door. I'm not going to give it up. And I think the people, you out there, should know that a printed author has certain rights not to give up a source. I never would. You got to have a higher calling in life and respect the information sources you have and protect them till the end. And I always would. And I did as a policeman as well when I used confidential sources. Let's talk about a couple of cases today. The first case is very current. And it may turn out to be a missing 411 case, but it's very early on. And I'll talk to you about it because I want to stir it up. And I hope I upset some people high up in our government. The man's name was Albert Calibet. This is Albert. Albert, 59 years old, went missing June 11th, 2024. He was a retired LA County sheriff. He worked at Transit Services Bureau. He was a deputy from 98 to 2018. And then he came back to work because they were so short of deputies. He worked 3 to 4 days a week as a part-time deputy. Not married, had a girlfriend named Debbie Lashane. Now, different articles said different things. One article stated that he had French and U.S. citizenship, dual citizenship. Then a couple other articles stated he had Greece. He was a citizen of Greece and the U.S., dual citizenship. Because he was traveling in Greece, hunch that he probably had the dual citizenship with Greece. Every year at about June, Albert took a trip to Greece. It was to clear his mind, relax, take the stresses from the job and wash them away. And every year for the last 10 years, he went to an island called Amorgos. Amorgos is a very small island, about 16 miles long and averages about 2 miles wide. There's no airport on the island. It's about half the size of Catalina Island off Long Beach in California. The mayor of the island said that Albert was known by the majority of the people on the island just because he had stayed so many times and come back. Now, when Albert disappeared June 11th of this year, 2024, temps on the island were over 100 degrees. That is hot. So here is Athens. Here's Amorgos. There's a lot of Greek islands. This is a very small island, but very beautiful, and one that Albert liked to relax on. So again, Athens, Amorgos. Now, Albert was traveling with a good friend, a male friend. His girlfriend was in LA, along with his sister's brother, his brother, Oliver. Well, on June 11th, Albert and his friend were changing hotels. And they got up early that morning, and they packed up their stuff, and they drove over to this other hotel, and they were checking in. And this was the drop-off place for Albert to take this hike that he had taken every year. And he told his friend, okay, you go ahead and check us in. I'm going to take off. Friend said, yeah, sure. And he said, I'll meet you for lunch. I should be back. Now, later on, the mayor of the island said that Albert had done this hike every year. He knew it by heart. It was about 12 miles, take about 4 hours. Albert stopped at a local cafe, got a beverage, drank it, and then brought a bottled water with him. He texted his sister just as he was getting on the trail, took a picture of the sign, sent it to her. That was the last message everyone got. Everybody who talked about this trail said it was very well maintained. A lot of people walked it. It wasn't real desolate and isolated. Albert was in good shape. He was a very experienced hiker, liked to walk a lot. Everything seems real normal. Took the hike every year within an area he really knew well. People on the island knew him. The mayor liked him. 3:30 p.m. Albert was supposed to meet his friend at noon. By 3:30, his friend got real nervous, and he contacted Greek authorities. Then he called his sister and the girlfriend, started to make notifications. Now, because Amorgos is a very small island, very few resources, and no airport, getting assistance to that island is huge pain in the butt. Now, because Albert had notoriety on the island, he was known, you would think that this would bring out a lot of people to search. And right away, that next morning, Greece had a helicopter, countrywide helicopter up searching along that trail for 2 hours. And then that was it. I could just hear everyone at home going, oh, what? That was it? What do you mean, Dave? That was it? That was the end of searching for the day? No, that was it. Well, he was last seen wearing Bermuda shorts, a dark shirt, carrying a bottle of water. It was about 100 degrees that day, very hot. Albert's brother's name is Oliver. Oliver is a very smart man. He heard what Greece was doing or was not doing, and he got a hold of the LA County Sheriff and told him what happened. The sheriff got a hold of their search and rescue deputies and found 2 of them willing to fly to Greece and volunteer to help with Oliver and Albert's girlfriend, who also flew over there. 33-hour flight. Going into another country without resources, without help, without contacts, not knowing the geography, knowing you're going to be working under horrifically hot conditions, that's rough. That's really, really rough. I'm telling you that right now. But they landed and they tried to engage. And every morning they got up at 5 a.m. and searched all day. Now, Debbie, the girlfriend, Lashane, said that she and Oliver approached the Greek government offering to pay for more helicopter time and drone searches. She said they were rebuffed. What? Rebuffed? Why? Debbie asked the government if they had pinged Albert's cell phone to get a location. She was told by the government that it is illegal to search phone records. What? That's obscene. Here you have a matter of life and death. You have police reports made. You have people from other countries coming over to search. You have an all-out emergency, and every hour of every day could mean life or death. And you're telling me that Greece can't get the phone records? I would say some words right here, but I don't want to upset anybody, but I would be, if this was my brother or sister, I'd be out of my mind. I would be. Debbie contacted the U.S. Embassy, requested assistance, and she stated that she was irate with the lack of response coming from the U.S. Embassy. I got to tell you a little story. When I go to conferences, I meet people from all over the world all the time. It's normal. And sometimes you'll catch me sitting at the back of an auditorium watching one of the speakers. And this one day there was a break and I was sitting at the back and Angie was doing something else, and this man came up to me in Washington, started talking to me. Super nice guy, super great guy, who used to work for our Secretary of State, traveled around different embassies. And we were talking about this exact same thing. How much assistance could you rely on from a U.S. embassy? Have things changed over the years? Well, this person I talked to said that just within the last 3 years, things have changed so bad that you can't rely on a U.S. embassy anywhere in the world for support because the U.S. won't engage. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Your lifeline when you're in another country, they're not going to help you? This guy said, yeah, unfortunately. I didn't think much about it at the time, but this is an exact example of what he was talking about. American in another country needs help. All they're asking for is maybe if there's a military ship in the area, could we get some U.S. soldiers onto the island searching? Could we get a helicopter with FLIR onto the island looking for... and nothing? I'm mad about that. Oliver and Debbie, Oliver the brother, Debbie the girlfriend, stated that resources were not coming fast at all. She stated that if they would have just kept their word and sent sniffer dogs over, it might have saved his life. And why is that? Again, 100 degrees, and you're going to hike 12 miles. Heat stroke is a real thing that can kill you. And if people don't get there to you in hours, you're dead. Now, a helicopter flew the path of Albert's walk. And you would think logically that they should have found him, but they didn't. Now, I know there was a UK doctor that disappeared on a Greek island, taking a walk very similar to Albert's, and then he was found next to a fence, deceased. Well, they actually found some footage of him walking into that position and sitting down. So even though I appreciate all the people that sent me the emails, and I got probably 150 of them about that case, I don't find it suspicious at all. Poor search technique. Again, somebody hiking when they shouldn't be hiking. When it's 100 degrees out in a desert environment, you should not be hiking alone, ever. And that is what happened, at least to that physician. We don't know what happened to Albert yet, because as of today, he has not been found. I can't say it's a 411 case, but what I will say is I want to stir up some garbage, and I want somebody to get out there and start helping this family find him. I'm ready to blow up. I'm so mad. Everybody deserves a chance at life. Everybody makes mistakes. To give up on him and just do 1 2-hour helicopter flyover, baloney. I'm half Greek, and I'm mad at those people. Okay. Take a deep breath. Second case. Second case involves a woman named Louise Bunker, 56 years old, missing August 17th, 1976. This is Louise. 5'5", 130. She lived with her sisters Hilda and Loretta in Portage, Wisconsin, and she was employed in a local cannery. The three sisters lived in a residence at 619 West Franklin Street in Portage. The three sisters, and they had a brother, were super tight, very close family, did everything together, looked out for each other. You kind of understand. And they helped each other whenever they needed help. Now, August 17th at about 1 p.m., Hilda took Louise to a downtown Portage location for a dentist appointment. Hilda parked the car in a downtown parking lot. They got out. They talked briefly. Louise was last seen wearing a square patterned print dress under a black raincoat. It was raining that day. She was wearing low-heeled beige casual shoes and dark-rimmed tinted spectacles. So at 1 o'clock, Hilda's next to Louise in the car. Hilda made the following statement to police. This is it. In the time it took me to turn around, my sister was gone, and she only had 15 cents on her. Now, if you're new to Missing 411, this statement may not mean a lot. To me, it means a whole lot. So, I'm facing you. I look over here. I get something. I turn back. You're gone on a city street? No. That dog don't hunt. I should be able to see you easily. I should have heard you walking away. I should have heard you say, hey, I'm going to the dentist. I'll meet you there. Nada, nothing. Gone. If you know what I'm thinking, hold your taters. So Hilda searched the parking lot. She searched the streets of Portage for over an hour. She went to the dentist to see if Louise maybe just went there and got away somehow. And once she determined that Louise was nowhere to be seen or found, she contacted her brother Albert. Explained what happened, and Albert said, well, we need to call the police. And he contacted the Portage police and reported Louise missing. At 5 p.m. that night, the police issued an area-wide all-points bulletin for Louise. Gave her a description, said, hey, she's missing, we need to find her. August 18th, the following day, the area around town was searched. Supposedly, one person came forward and said that they saw Louise walking out of town towards a swamp. Again, I've said it a million times. Once APBs go out on people, you got to take all these things with a grain of salt. Maybe she was seen, maybe she wasn't. But if she was seen walking out of town towards a swamp, why? Now, Hilda told the police that Louise seemed despondent and somewhat confused the day she'd vanished. Why is this important? When people disappear and they have that point of separation or the turnaround moment, many times one of them doesn't feel right, isn't acting right. It's almost as though there's something directly targeting them that takes them out of their normal state of mind. This has happened so many times I can't even tell you. The next day, August 19th, the area all around town, every street is driven by the police. There's no sightings, there's no nothing. Louise was described as very reliable, never left, never walked away, or missed work ever, and the behavior was completely out of character. So keep that framework in mind. If you were one of the sisters or the brother, and this is what you were faced with, knowing that your sister had never done anything like that before, definitely odd. So, fast forward 6 months, February 28, 1977. The Portage and the Wisconsin State Police made another public plea for information on Louise. They had gotten nothing in 6 months. They had heard nothing. And now they put out this big, bold statement. And they got nothing. November 26, 1983. The family petitioned the courts for heirship, H-E-I-R, heirship. In Wisconsin, you had to wait 7 years with no correspondence and no contact from someone to have a presumption of death. And Louise had matters that they had to take care of, own various things, and you have to have this death certificate in order to get it done. It's completely normal. She was never found. Remember that turnaround moment. How could somebody get away that quick under just normal conditions? The area where Louise vanished is a major cluster zone for Wisconsin. And disappearing in a cluster zone, it's a major flashing yellow light in our research. Now, Hilda's statement about the time and turning around, Louise was gone, matches too many cases that I could even tell you about right here. So, at that point of separation, where you're standing in that parking lot, what would your mind be going through when you look back and your sister's gone? First of all your senses go up to hyperflex. Smell, hear, see, and you're not getting anything. But it happened when she turned. It didn't happen in front of her, which I say every time. Nobody ever sees this happening. It's when you're not looking. It's when you're separated. What can I say? So, that was Louise Bunker. And I think probably 99.9% of all missing people who do research wouldn't even look at this case. But when you understand the paradigm that surrounds this case, then you have a healthy respect why we should be talking about it. Remember, this is the kindness revolution. Costs us nothing to be kind to one another. The world would be a much better place if we were each patient with each other. If we heard something that conflicted with our own beliefs, go into that conversation with an understanding, maybe that person sitting across from you has better sources than you had when you got your information. Hear them out. Listen to them. Don't pass judgment so soon. And I guarantee if you do that, you will have a much higher level of respect from the person on the other side of the table. Thanks for being here. Please remember, all my books are on our online store, NA like North America, NABigfootsearch.com. And we have a new international distributor for all of our books, Hancock House Publishing. You can Google it, Hancock House Publishing in Vancouver. They'll ship worldwide much cheaper than I could have done it from here. And all of our movies, Missing 411, Missing 411 The UFO Connection, Missing 411 The Hunted, they're all on Amazon. If you're outside the country, try Tubi, try Vimeo. Good chance that they have them. My dog is just about sleeping out cold, snoring. Again, thanks for being here. Paulides out.